You are listening to episode 20 of the Aligned Actor podcast. Guys, I really hope this episode makes sense that you're about to listen to and that you can follow it, because I was really excited when I was working on it, and I'm a little worried that it maybe got a little rambly. I don't know. But I still think there's value here. I did listen back to it and I can follow it, but that doesn't always mean that everyone can follow it. But I wanted to get this idea out there because it's actually something that I used to think was a flaw of mine, but I've since discovered now that it's an asset. And, maybe there are other people out there who are just like me, who this idea could really benefit. So I hope it all makes sense, and please enjoy. Welcome to the Aligned Actor podcast. I'm Amy Schlurb, and I am an actor and a student of conscious creation, looking to learn, grow, and share my experiences with you so that together we can master our mindsets and manifest the careers of our dreams. Let's play. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Aligned Actor podcast. I know, so soon, what? Sometimes you get an idea or an inspiration and you just need to get it out into the world. And that's what inspired action is, which I think is something I've talked about on this podcast before. But anyway, it's the step that comes right after we align with our desire. We get into the feeling place of our desire, and then we wait to see where we're called next, so we know what action to take. And I've been thinking for a while now about how to inspire and empower actors, like maybe you who are listening to this podcast right now. And a lot of really exciting ideas have come into my head that I'm currently working on, and I'm not quite ready to share those with you just yet. But this idea, which I call stovetop manifesting, and it's not about manifesting kitchen appliances or anything like that. Anyway, this idea of stovetop manifesting is something that I wanted to talk to you about, because it's actually what's happening right now in my life, and it's how all of the inspiration for additional aligned actor content has come roaring back into my life in a new and exciting way. And it's actually something that I used to think was a bad thing. I used to kind of think this was a personality flaw of mine. And I think there are probably still people out there who might consider it a bad thing and might shy away from this. But I've recently discovered that it's actually a really, really good thing. And in the past, I might have very consciously, really fought hard against it. But I'm starting to recognize it's a really good thing, and that's been so liberating. So I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. Okay, so here's the backstory on this. At the beginning of this year, I declared 4 desires that I wanted to achieve this year, or you could say goals or whatever. But anyway, my 4 desires right now in my life, two of which I wanted to work on actively, which were my Christmas movie screenplay and my book on grief. And then 2 others that I didn't really want to work on actively, meaning I wasn't going to focus any daily alignment practice specifically on them. I would just, think positively about them in general, or know that that's going to come eventually, whatever. And those were booking a recurring co-star on a fun show and writing a book for actors on manifesting. And just quickly, the reasons I didn't want to work on those 2 actively were that the recurring co-star, I felt like I'd done the work there, or I was already doing the work there and always doing the work there. Have the agent, going out on auditions and things, and keeping up with casting directors, all this kind of stuff. So it just felt like, well, that's just going to happen at some point. It's just the next logical step in my career. That's very easy to believe in. And for the longest time, probably way too long, I feel like I've been too actively focused on manifesting my career, that I've gotten too attached and too charged around it. And that I felt like I just needed to chill out and let it be and relax and allow in order for that to actually manifest. And for the manifesting book for actors, I knew I wanted that eventually, but I just didn't feel particularly pulled there in the same way that I felt super, super pulled to work on my Christmas movie screenplay and my grief book. So those were the 2 creative projects that I really felt really strongly called to. And it's interesting because they're both actually connected to each other synergistically, because they're both about the same thing. They're both about my grief process, grieving and mourning the loss of my mother, and the Mom Minder project, which was a photo project that I did kind of honoring her after she passed. And I actually think that the recurring role and the manifesting book for actors also kind of go together in their own way. And maybe we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm not sure. But so anyway, so I worked on the Christmas movie and the grief book as I felt inspired. And I got the Christmas movie to a place where it's done. And the screenplay is done. The movie itself is not done. And I'm in the process sending it to producers as I'm inspired. I finished the first draft of the manuscript. That's not a thing. I finished the first draft of the manuscript of my grief book, and I'm working with an editor on that. And then this strange thing happened, sort of right around the time that I decided that the screenplay was quote unquote done. I found that I was saying a lot of the time. I was, mulling these thoughts in my brain of like, I don't know what to do now. And I was kind of stressing out over it. I was like, do I email this person? Do I email that person? Or I don't know. I just wasn't feeling particularly inspired to really do anything with the screenplay other than just know that like, well, I want this to be made and I want this to be made at a high quality, but I don't know how to achieve that right now. I don't know what to do there. So, And I was starting to feel this like angsty charge around it, around the desire to bring the movie forth into the world. So I know enough about conscious creation, and I knew that I needed to let it go for a while. So I was focusing squarely on the grief book, and all the while I felt strangely complete on the screenplay. Like it was in a place where as long as I didn't stress, because what's the point of that anyway? It was going to get made. And the inspiration surrounding that they were going to come. So every time I sort of put it down, I just got this intense feeling of peace about like, yeah, I don't need to stress about that. That's going to happen. I just don't quite know how yet. Plus, the entire industry was shut down anyway with COVID. So no wonder I wasn't feeling particularly pulled to email this producer or that network or whatever. Like, nobody's really making movies right now. Or if they are, I don't particularly feel safe to make a movie right now. And that's just my own personal feeling. So I let it be. And I worked on my grief book. And in very short order, I want to say it was only like a few days or something, I got this intense inspiration and urge to work on all of the aligned actor stuff that I've been doing, like the Facebook group and the podcast and the book itself and like content for the book or maybe like a mastermind or something. Like all of a sudden I had the intense urge to like teach or run a mastermind, something along those lines. And I decided to follow that pull. All the while I'm thinking, well, this is interesting. For the longest time, I was not inspired in this area at all. Like the top of the first half of 2020, not at all inspired to work on this. I knew it was something I did want to do eventually, but no desire to kind of actively put work into it. And now, all of a sudden I am. And then it hit me. I am a stovetop manifester. And by that I mean I enjoy and thrive off of having a few desires cooking on my manifesting stove at the same time and just working on each as I feel inspired. And that's exactly what I was experiencing because my screenplay pot or saute pan or kettle, whatever, was ready to go on the back burner. I'd added all the ingredients for that dish. I'd seasoned it with a healthy amount of really great alignment practice. And I'd gotten all of the sort of active cooking, active manifesting done for now. And what it really needed, I felt, next was a little low heat, the occasional stir, and time to let those flavors develop, i.e. let the universe work its magic. Meanwhile, I've got this open front burner now, and the universe knows that my manifesting work with actors is still in my vortex and still something that I definitely want. So, boom, all these inspirations come rushing in, causing me to move that pot, which had been on a back burner, to a front burner, add more ingredients and do more active cooking on it to bring that desire more into fruition. So hopefully you're following me on this idea of stovetop manifesting. I think it's really super fun. So the idea is that it's totally cool, and for me, I think even necessary, to have a number of desires and work on them all simultaneously as inspired. Because guess what, guys? Following inspiration, following what feels fun, what feels good, that's the whole name of the game anyway. And that's what leads to our dreams coming true. Because really, that's all we want out of life anyway. We want to feel good. We think that, whatever we want, whatever desire we want, we only want it because we think having it will feel better than not having it. So what we really want at all times is to feel good. And for the longest time, I thought that staying so singularly focused on my acting career was the only way to go. But all that really did, I feel now, is create a ton of need and attachment and negative charge around that desire. And I think that's probably why my career isn't in the same place that I had once thought I wanted it to be. So, sure, I booked work. But in hindsight, I've discovered that I've always booked more work when my acting career wasn't my only focus. So some quick examples there. I got 2 straight offers the year that I had my kid. And I booked a job once while I was on vacation at Disneyland. So, yeah. Sometimes releasing need and attachment and just allowing is absolutely key. And that's the beautiful thing about stovetop manifesting. The system, the technique, whatever you want to call this thing, it thrives off of our shifting focus to another desire as we feel inspired. And that's what's so cool. What's so cool about that is that as you shift your focus to that new desire, you naturally release some, if not all, of that attachment that you built up around that first desire. And you don't have to worry about that other desire not manifesting because, guys, the universe knows what we want. And feeling joy in any way in your life feeds all of your desires. And what was doubly cool for me is that all of my desires kind of relate to each other, like I was saying. So like the grief book and the Christmas movie both revolve around the same subject. And I knew as I was working on both of them that any work on either one was just helping to clarify and inspire work on the other one. So those two were really easy to kind of work on in tandem. And I never felt like, I'm working on the book and I'm not working on the movie. Like, that's bad. Like, I never felt that way. And likewise, I know that working on my ideas for the Aligned Actor community, for this podcast, for any, sort of masterminds or courses that I put together for that, really clarifying and distilling down everything that I know about conscious creation and manifesting and how actors can use it directly ties to me manifesting that next recurring role as I kind of test and play with my ideas for other actors. But I still think this works even if, you can't see as direct synergistic links between your desires. Because really, like I've said over and over again, focusing and finding joy anywhere will help with all of your desires, right? So here's what's happened to me. I started focusing on my aligned actor ideas and organizing things there. And I was continuing to write and work on the grief book. And I was not at all focusing on the movie, on the Christmas movie. And then it turns out that one of the financiers on one of my husband's projects loves Christmas movies and is very interested in Christmas movies, and therefore might at some point when she's not, in the middle of this other thing, like to see a script of a Christmas movie. And also one of the actors on the project is also very interested in Christmas movies. And so it just, nothing has happened officially, but, there's still things going on. And that I didn't pursue any of that at all. I didn't try to make any of that happen, nothing. It just sort of was starting to come in on its own, right? My point is that the Christmas movie pot is still simmering. It's on my manifesting stove, and my joy over actively cooking on some of my other desires is only serving it. And now that I've had enough practice with following inspired action, that if something is, I know that if something is required of me for that desire, for the Christmas movie desire, I'll know to pick up my spoon, give it a stir, adjust the heat on the burner, whatever. And I also know that I haven't somehow abandoned my screenplay or not finished that desire to get it sold and made, or, in the most extreme example, somehow failed to manifest my Christmas movie. No. And here's where I think I was getting it wrong for so many years. I thought that anytime I had a creative idea that seemed even remotely adjacent to my acting career, I would think, maybe I shouldn't do that, because it will take time and energy away from my acting career. And I think I even did this with Schlerbits, my web series, because part of me was like, well, yeah, this would be really fun, and creating your own content is kind of a big thing right now, so maybe I really should do that. But also, maybe I should really just put all my attention into reaching out to casting directors and doing workshops and marketing and building relationships and really focusing there. And then maybe I could get a real job. Well, good thing I went with Schlerbits, because Schlerbits actually directly led to 2 straight offers of real jobs, quote unquote. They were real jobs, obviously. There was money. So, there you go. And the whole point of this, guys, I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm kind of excited, so go with it. The point is, it's cool to have multiple desires and pursue each as inspired. And actually, now that I'm taking a step back and really looking at my career so far as a whole, I feel like every time I've done that, I've only helped my acting career. And probably that little voice that was in the back of my head saying, but you really need to focus on your acting career, don't get distracted, was just a little gremlin. And that distraction, quote unquote, was part of what I needed to do to release attachment and maybe to learn something or do something that was actually needed for my career anyway. Because it all feeds back on itself anyway. All our desires serve each other because they all serve the same purpose anyway. I'm going to say it again for the millionth time, to make us happy. Like I say in every single episode, find a way to feel good. And what feels especially good to me now is finally realizing that something that I used to think was a personality flaw, or that, I was too easily distracted by shiny objects, or, whatever. It's actually a really, really cool manifesting method, for me at least. I don't know that this works for every person. Again, manifesting is this type of thing that you have to always go with what feels best to you, and what feels best to you is what will work best for you. So hopefully this explanation of stovetop manifesting has inspired you and was clear enough to you so that you can start using it if you want to. I'm probably also going to clarify this idea more and write a blog post or something that's maybe a bit more step by step and succinctly laid out and stuff. But I was just so excited about this idea and all of the success I was having with it without even realizing it. And I wanted to share it with you now. So there you go. So if you would like to, please come and join us inside my Facebook group. It's called the Aligned Actor Community, and you can find it by going to facebook.com/groups/the Aligned Actor Community. We can talk about stovetop manifesting, and there's other cool stuff that's going to be going on in there that I'm hoping to make that group a little bit more interactive than it already has been. So yeah, please come play with us. That would be fun. Okay, guys. Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you feel inspired to do so, please subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast with your actor pals so that more people can enjoy the good vibes. Also, be sure to join the Aligned Actor Community on Facebook by going to facebook.com/groups/the Aligned Actor Community. That's the place where this podcast gets interactive. It's a pretty fun party. You're going to want to get in on it. Until next time, remember, you are an amazing actor, and you are creating the career of your dreams. Congrats!